When Jesus says it is finished on the cross, he's talking about all of the work necessary to put you at peace with God is finished. It's already done. And we have that.
Yeah, and on the cross, he offers us the rest of salvation, that we no longer have to be working for our salvation. He offers us that rest because on the cross, he did the work. He took the punishment. That was his ultimate work. That was what he had been sent to do, that he had been sent to come and die. And so on the cross, he is taking the punishment that we deserve. He's taking the wrath that we deserve. He's taking the anxiety so that way we can have the rest, the joy, and the peace that comes from his work.
Welcome to the Bible podcast. We are here starting reading John 5, verses 1 through 17. Today we're going to talk about the healing at the pool of Bethesda. It's a great story. I think we'll read verses 1 and 2, and then I'll let you set the stage, all right?
Yep.
So it says, "After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool in Aramaic called Bethesda, which has 5 roofed colonnades." That's set the stage. Tell me what's going on.
Yeah, so the first 2 verses kind of help us get oriented as to what's going on. And initially it says that there's a feast of the Jews. Now, he doesn't specify which feast this is, John, the author. Previous episodes, we've seen that it was at the Passover celebration. And later on, we're going to see him specify other feasts, like the Feast of Tabernacles that we're going to be at. This one, he doesn't specify. And oftentimes, it's assumed that it's the Feast of Passover. I also read some commentators that said it was the Feast of Pentecost because it was after the harvest, which we saw in the previous episodes of the Samaritans and all of that.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of unknown as to what exactly this could be. If it is the Passover, then that is part of the chronology that allows scholars to guess that Jesus' ministry was around 3.5 years. If it's not, then it could be 2.5 years. And so could go either way. Regardless, he's trying to explain why Jesus is going up to Jerusalem, why he's there in the city. He's going up there for a feast. He didn't specify which one, which means it's probably not important to the point of this story. But then he specifies that he's going to Jerusalem and he ends up by the sheep gate. And there's a pool by the sheep gate called Bethesda. Now, the sheep gate is called so because it is near the temple, and in all likelihood, that is where the sheep and other animals would have been housed that could have been used for the sacrifices at the temple. So you remember in the outer court, they have all of those transactions taking place where they're backstock and they're, the pool is all being drawn from the sheep gate potentially. Right. And right next to that is this pool called Bethesda. Now, Bethesda is translated from Aramaic. It could mean the house of outpouring.
Oh,
now,
cool.
That can kind of give us some idea of what the pool could have been, that there could have been like a waterfall into it, or also is probably fed by some springs from underneath. So kind of like a double filling for this pool. And there's these 5 roofed colonnades. And that is there in order to communicate. There's a lot of people around this pool. There's 5 of them all like packed around this pool. So it's probably busy with people, animals, water flowing, all this kind of like hustle and bustle all around the feast as well. So there's a lot of people around is kind of what's being communicated here.
Right. Do you think the water looks more like a pond than a pool? Because I've always pictured crystal clear, beautiful waters. But now hearing that it's right by the sheep gate and it's probably, I don't know.
Hard to say. We actually, while we were in Israel, almost 10 years ago now,
That's a long time ago,
we stopped by this pool. It is an archaeological site that you can go and look.
I remember that. That is one of the things that sticks out to me still to this day.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that's the pool.
It's the pool.
Whoa.
It's right there.
Yeah.
So
it had steps down into it and things, right? And they were
Yeah.
kind of like big, maybe 2.5 or 2 foot steps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not very good for invalids, as we'll see.
Yeah. not great.
They would have they probably would have fell.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's the setting. So in your mind's eye, lots of people, lots of animals, lots of colonnades, there's, hustle and bustle, feast time. Jesus shows up. And on verse 3, we say, in these colonnades, lay a multitude of invalids who are blind, lame, and paralyzed. And one man was there who had been an invalid for 38 years.
Should we sit in that for a second? 38 years.
Yeah.
Sitting by a pool.
Yeah.
As an invalid.
Yeah.
That sounds like a dire, desperate situation.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, all of your muscles are atrophied. Like,
you got sores.
You have been there for 38 years. That is just such a long time. And no detail is wasted when John writes this. And so he specifies 38 years to be like, this is a desperate, dire situation that this guy is in.
Right.
And he's not the only one there who is an invalid. There's a lot of blind, lame, paralyzed. All these people are all there. And the reason why they're all there is there was a tradition that had developed over the course of years that whenever the pool would start bubbling, that was an angel that had come down and is stirring the waters. And the first person into the pool is healed. And that story had been told for a long time. And so that's why so many people had gathered waiting for the stirring of the waters. And we're going to see that that's the reason why this person is here, that this man has been here for 38 years, but he has not been healed yet. And there's kind of an interesting, to kind of take a little bit of a sidetrack, an interesting textual criticism note that's going on here. If you look at your Bible, can you find verse 4 in the ESV?
Nope, didn't even notice. Went 3 to 5.
Went 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Verse 4 explains what I just explained.
About the angels stirring up the water. Okay, yeah, right.
That's what verse 4 says. And probably what happened is this story was a common story that everybody knew, that at the pool there was this angel that did its thing. However, as time went on, some of the scholars who transcribed the text of John, they decided to, in the margins, say, I'm going to explain the reason why all of these people are here around the pool.
Yeah.
And so they wrote in the margins, they said an angel comes down and all of those things. And then that was written. And this is probably happening in the 3rd and 4th century. And then the next person gets this copy of the Gospel of John, and they see in the margin, oh, the angel's here. And they're like, is that a part of the original or is that not a part of the original?
It wasn't in the margin enough to where they're like...
Yeah, which could this be? And so they're like, well, we're going to include it all in there.
Right.
And that typically is what happens when scholars are relaying the text of Scripture, which is why textual critic... Go ahead.
They keep things in.
Yes.
Rather than...
take anything out.
Well, I don't know if this is in there, so I'm going to leave it out. No. It's keep it in so we don't lose it.
Exactly.
Right.
Which is why at this point, some people will say the New Testament is like a puzzle piece that's 10,000 pieces, but we have 10,010 pieces. And so we just have some extra pieces here and there.
So this is an example of there was an extra piece, but we know because we have so many manuscripts. No, that wasn't original. That was in the margin and made it in.
Yeah.
So that piece we're going to pull out.
Yeah.
That's why there's verse 3 to verse 5.
Exactly. So with that, the modern translators are not deleting things from the Bible or anything like that.
Right.
Instead, we have all these older manuscripts, and all these older manuscripts do not include that. There's even it's Sinaiticus and Vaticanus, but then there's also translations from those that we have in Coptic and Latin and in Syriac that also don't include it. Like the weight of how
we know for sure
it's not.
Yeah.
But we're not hiding that either. It's not like it's a surprise. It's down in the footnotes.
Right.
You could read it.
Right. There was a time when people had the not as old manuscripts and they thought, oh, that was in there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
And what's amazing is that it's an accurate thing to be able to keep in mind that helps to explain what's going on. And so it's not like it's a benefit.
It's a good thing we have it, because otherwise we'd be like, what was going on?
Yeah. And so it's not even it didn't change the meaning of anything, the fact that it was included or whatever.
Right.
So, but that's why all of these people are there. This man who's been there for 38 years, an incredibly long time, an absolutely desperate situation. And in verse 6, it says, when Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had already been there a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be healed?" What do you think Jesus is doing with that question?
Well, it sounds like his other questions to the woman at the well, and he's always asking like kind of these mysterious questions when he's offering them a salvation, right?
Exactly. He's offering him the salvation that Jesus has come to bring. Because remember, the Gospel of John is written that we might believe and have eternal life. Mm-hmm. And so Jesus, in approaching the woman at the well in Samaria, offers her living water. And then she is kind of confused by it. She's like, okay, where's the bucket? Like, what's going on here? And then later on, we're going to see that Jesus is offering the bread of life. Right. And they're going to be like, wait.
We want some bread.
I'm down for some food. Like, they're not going to get it. And here, Jesus is offering healing.
Yeah.
He's offering a holistic healing and restoration. And we're going to see the guy isn't going to really get it either.
Right. Because the guy's like, this is obvious. Like,
like,
I am here to be healed. And Jesus is like, do you want to be healed? And he's like, yeah.
Yes. And so here's what he responds with. It says in verse 7, the sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. And while I'm going, another steps down before me." So again, that's assuming that we understand the angel, the healing, and all that kind of stuff in that verse. But notice just the desperation in this man's voice.
Yeah.
His first words is, "I have no one." So not only has he been there for 38 years, muscles atrophied, bed sores, desperate situation, he also has no one.
He's totally alone.
Totally alone.
Yeah. Those are the first words we hear him speak. I have no one.
Yeah. And it's so, like, your heart is just broken for this guy because he's a broken man in the busiest city at feast time where it's supposed to be a festival, and he's laying there saying, "I have no one."
And he's been there for 38 years, unable to move.
Yeah. It's just the most desperate situation. But so not only is he physically in a desperate situation and relationally in a desperate situation, later on in verse 14, we're going to see that Jesus is going to meet him because he is going to get healed, and he'll meet him after that. And he'll tell him, go and sin no more, lest something even worse happen to you. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit right in this spot, because that shows that his situation, in all likelihood, was some sort of sin that he could have potentially committed 38 years ago. Or something has happened that was his own doing that then could have led him to this situation. Now, I wanted to say that because then the automatic response is, wait a minute, if I do something bad, then does that mean God's going to punish me with some sort of physical ailment? Or I have a physical ailment, is that because I did something wrong? And the answer is not necessarily, because later in the Gospel of John, we're going to see a blind man, and the disciples are going to ask him, hey, who sinned, him or his parents? Right. And he's going to say, no. This is for God's glory, the reason this has happened. Right. And so physical ailments are not the direct result of sin every time. Right. However, in Hebrews, God says that those whom he loves, he chastens. So if someone is living in sin or rebelling against God, God might use chastening, disciplining, to bring that person back to himself. And it's a loving thing for him to do. Right. And so is every physical ailment the result of some sin? No, definitely not. Are some ailments the result of maybe sin that God is using in order to be able to bring this person back to himself? Potentially. Right. But it's not everything every single time.
I remember when I kind of looked at the world that way, when I saw people in a bad way, and I thought, I don't think they did something wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, look at me, I'm walking around on 2 feet just fine.
Yeah.
I think I'm doing pretty good.
Exactly.
That is not
the picture.
Not the picture.
No. Okay. Not the picture that's being presented here. Yeah. What Jesus is doing in meeting this person, though, is that he is in a desperate situation physically, relationally, and spiritually. Yeah. That he is a sinner. Right. Who needs God's grace. He's been there for 38 years. He's got no one. So he's in a desperate situation. And so Jesus comes to him and is like, do you want to be healed? Offering him salvation. And this is what Jesus has come to do. In the book of Isaiah, when talking about the prophecies surrounding the coming age of the Messiah, it says this in Isaiah 35. It says, say to those who have an anxious heart. I think that includes this guy right here. He probably has an anxious heart.
Definitely.
Say to those who have an anxious heart, be strong, fear not, behold your God. He will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap like a deer, and the tongue of the mute sing for joy. This is the expectation of the Messianic age. And so Jesus comes to the place of the most broken and is offering salvation. And the man responds with, I have no one. I can't make it into the water. I can't do this on my own. He is unable to save himself. And so Jesus in verse 8 says, Jesus said to him, get up, take up your bed, and walk. So crazy.
Yeah.
Just so much power.
Yeah.
The Word made flesh, the one who is the Word, who spoke and the world was created, was there at creation. He now speaks a new creation and says, rise, get up, and walk. These limbs that have been atrophied, the limbs that have sores on them, are instantly healed. And it says, at once, the man was healed, and he took up his bed and walked.
Yes.
Like, it's just so amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so mind-blowing.
It is.
38 years.
Yeah.
And now he's walking.
Yeah.
This is the salvation that he's offering.
So cool.
Yeah. And so, this incredible celebration, this fulfillment of prophecy, this great example of the kind of life that Jesus is offering that ultimately results in resurrection at the end, where there's full healing, where right now not everyone is healed, but eventually everyone will be healed who believes in Jesus, that we all have resurrected bodies that have an indestructible life, as Paul says in 1 Corinthians 15. We have that expectation. And seeing the prefigurements of that in this healing account, there's celebration that breaks out in Jerusalem. Not quite.
You would think
You
that.
would think.
Who could ever be unhappy with Jesus doing this miracle?
Can you think of anyone?
That brings us to verse 8. Now that day was the Sabbath. That's not 8. That's a S.
It's
Sorry.
the middle of verse 9. Yeah.
The middle of verse 9. That brings us to the middle of verse 9. Now that day was the Sabbath. So the Jews said to the man who had been healed, "It is the Sabbath, and it is not lawful for you to take up your bed."
So rough. This man lay for 38 years. His mat is probably made out of straw, and so
Yeah.
it can be rolled up and placed on his shoulder. So he
Right.
probably stands out a little bit on the Sabbath. He's got this mat on his shoulder, and the Pharisees, a giant exercise in missing the point,
Yeah.
just immediately walk up and is like, "It's not lawful for you to heal on the Sabbath."
What are you doing?
Just
Put that bed down.
yeah. And he answers, he answered him, "The man who healed me, that man said to me, 'Take up your bed and walk.' And they asked him, 'Who is the man who said to you, 'Take up your bed and walk'?" Now the man who had been healed did not know who Jesus was, for Jesus had withdrawn, and there was a crowd in the place. Again, there's people everywhere. It's a feast. It's all this stuff.
Right. Hustle and bustle.
Hustle and bustle. So Jesus heals the man. The man gets up and walks, puts the mat on his shoulder. Immediately the Pharisees show up and are like, "What are you doing?" There's a lot that is behind this.
Give me the background on the Pharisees and the Sabbath.
Yeah, so the Pharisees, they really love their Sabbath. That's a very important
Do
thing.
they love it, though?
They not the spirit of it.
They love to police it.
And essentially what they had devised is, in the Old Testament law, one of the 10 commandments was honor the Sabbath day and keep it holy, which God told his people, hey, take a day off. One day a week, don't work. Rest in me. I will provide for you. I will take care of you. You can take one day and not work. And over the course of time, the children of Israel did not honor this Sabbath or keep it holy. And they were also instructed to, once every 7 years, take the entire year off and like have it be a year of resting the ground and all of those things. Once every 50 years, a year of Jubilee, where it's this like celebration, like they were meant to have these rest periods, but they didn't take those rest times. They kept working. And because they kept working, God came to them in the prophets and said, hey, take the day off. And they continued to not do that. And so eventually God exiled them out of the land, sent them into Babylon for 70 years. And that was 1 year for every year of Jubilee that they did not take. So the ground would have rest.
Wow.
And so they're in exile for that 70 years. And so they realized at the end of that, okay,
We're keeping the Sabbath.
we're keeping the Sabbath.
We are not going back.
Yeah. So when they returned, after they returned, that's when the Pharisaic sect and group began to develop, was after they returned from exile, during the time between Malachi and Matthew in that intertestamental period. And they developed 13 different ways you could break the Sabbath. 13 different types of work you couldn't do. And they had a certain amount of like distance you could walk, a certain amount of things you could do. Like it was all very technical and all of these things. And they had turned the Sabbath, which was supposed to be a rest, into a burden.
Right.
They had turned Sabbath.
Because you got to count your steps now.
Yeah, you got to count your steps now. Like they're trying to do loopholes to try and figure out how to like figure this out. Like it's a disaster that they have developed. When God simply was just like, hey, don't work.
Right.
Rest. They turned it into a work.
Nice.
Yeah. So they, on the one hand, you can kind of feel sympathetic for the Pharisees. Where like they're really, really trying to figure out how to not work on the Sabbath. It ends up turning into a work, and that causes them
To not keep the Sabbath.
to not keep the Sabbath,
Yeah.
and also to totally miss the miracle that's staring them in the face.
Yeah.
Right there. Totally miss the miracle. And so they come and they ask him, who told you to take up your bed and walk? And he's like, I don't know. Like, this is a guy who healed me. He's the one who told me. And they don't say, you're healed? Like, you got healed? Like, wait, tell us the story. Like, what happened?
Yeah. There was a guy who healed me. I don't know who it was. Why are you still holding your bed?
Doesn't even faze him that he got healed.
Yeah.
And so they are trying to get to the bottom of it. And Jesus, because of the crowd, he's able to like kind of slip away. But after a little while, in verse 14, it says, afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, see, you are well, sin no more, that nothing worse may happen to you. So again, we kind of already touched on that a little bit. And the man went away and told the Jews that it was said that it was Jesus who had healed him. And so this guy, he's a difficult guy to try and get like your hands around. It's like you feel so much like compassion and sympathy for him, where you're like, dude, like he's been there for 38 years. He has no one. He's just in a desperate situation, and God heals him, and you're just like, that's like so amazing.
Yeah.
And then Jesus comes and is like, you're healed, man.
Hey, buddy.
Like, hey, buddy, it was me. Like, follow me, essentially. Like, go sin no more. Like, follow the law. Like, all of those things. And he immediately goes and tells the Pharisees, like, hey, it was Jesus who healed me.
Right.
And, it could be interpreted a couple different ways. He could be, like, throwing his pearls before swine, you could say. Like, he's just like, hey, like, it was Jesus who healed me. Like, you should, like, come to know him. Or it could be him just being like, the Pharisees are the most powerful group in the city right now.
Time to tattletale. He told me to bring the mat. It was Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. You can read it two different ways. Honestly, it's probably not important.
Right.
The reality is the picture of this guy is he's in a desperate situation and God heals him. That's the bottom line.
Right.
And he goes to the Pharisees, and it says after this encounter that this is why the Jews were persecuting Jesus. That Jesus was doing these miracles on the Sabbath, Notice that we hadn't seen that yet in the Gospel of John. John kind of assumes that you know that this is a thing from the other Gospels and things like
Right,
that.
because it was
that
written later, yeah.
It was written later and all of those things. So this is why the Jews were persecuting Jesus, because he was doing these things on the Sabbath. But in verse 17 it says, "But Jesus answered them, 'My Father is working until now, and I am working.'"
Yeah, so is that response like every Sabbath we want you guys to take the day off, but we're not taking the day off because like we are what holds the whole world together? Is that what he's saying?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it. It's like, you can take the day off because me, Jesus, the Son of God, and my Father, the Father God, we're always working. We're keeping everything together. You're trying to hold the world up by not taking a day off. You're trying to hold the world together through all of your effort and work
the law.
by keeping the law. And he's like, we got this. We've been working. We've been holding everything up until now.
Right.
Like you can take a day off and the world's not going to fall apart. And I think there might be someone who needs to hear that feels like that they're like holding the world together, and that if they take a day off, everything's going to fall apart. And the reality is, Jesus is holding the world together. Yeah. Him and his Father, he's got the whole world in his hands, you know?
Right.
Like, that's the kind of God he is. He's the one who works on behalf of those who wait for him, it says in Isaiah.
Right. What does this say about our salvation? What does this story say?
Well, I think this tells us a few things. So, first, the guy's in a desperate situation. He can't save himself.
Right.
He's been there for 38 years. He can't get down into the water.
He has no chance of even getting in. Like, he already told Jesus, like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, he is the definition of inability. Like, he can't do it.
Right.
And yet, Jesus comes and heals him. He does the work so that way he can receive the rest. Yeah. What the Sabbath picture is meant to communicate is that Jesus, he's the one who does the work for us. He's the one who is performing the necessary rules to fulfill the law so that way we can receive the true Sabbath rest of the soul. That is, we are acceptable before God. We are able to be present with God without having to work for our salvation. And what's amazing is we can turn anything into works-based salvation. Like, and we love to. Yeah. Like, you can tell someone rest in Jesus, and they're going to be like, all right, give me the list. I'm ready. How do I do it?
Yes, I will try so hard to rest.
Yeah. And it's like, it's a giant exercise and missing the point. Like,
yeah.
Jesus, he's the one who does the work for us. And we can take anything and turn it into, okay, here's what I need to do in order to be able to be saved. Here's what I need to do in order to be able to be acceptable in God's sight. And Jesus is saying, I've been working until now. I fulfill this for you. And even on some level, Jesus rested and fulfilled the Sabbath laws in our place. Like, right. He perfectly fulfilled the Sabbath. So that way we can experience the true rest. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't even have to fulfill the Sabbath anymore in order to be able to experience the rest of God. Like, that's how he fulfilled the law, all the way to the very brim.
Right. So when Jesus says, it is finished on the cross, he's talking about all of the work necessary to put you at peace with God is finished. Mm-hmm. It's already done.
Yeah.
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 And we have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on the cross, you know, he offers us the rest of salvation, that we no longer have to be working for our salvation. He offers us that rest because on the cross, he did the work. He took the punishment. That was his ultimate work. That was what he had been sent to do, that he had been sent to come and die. And so on the cross, he is taking the punishment that we deserve. He's taking the wrath that we deserve. He's taking the anxiety so that way we can have the rest, the joy, and the peace that comes from his work.
Right, and that's what transforms us, heals us. It's receiving that in faith.
Exactly.
Totally. The one sacrifice for all that changed all. Yeah.
Exactly. That he took our work so we can receive his rest.
So are you working hard today? Are you trying to prove yourself to God? remember, you have rest in Jesus. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Should we end there?
I think so.
The grass withers,
The flower fades.
but the word of the Lord endures forever.
Amen.
Amen.